Welcome to ElxPro, and this is your Elixir programming introduction. This is going to be a complete tutorial. If you're a beginner and want to learn Elixir, this video is for you. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open the Google. So I'm going to share my screen right here. And right here, we're going to talk about the Elixir, and I'm going to share with you a couple links that is very useful. For example, if you want to install Elixir, this is pretty straightforward. So you can just go ahead and just type Elixir install, click on the first link, and as you can see, you can select your operating system, and then you can install easily. Even though you are a beginner, this is pretty straightforward to install, no matter which OS that you're using. This is going to be very useful and very simple to install Elixir in your local machine. So right now, let's start talking about a little bit about Elixir. So most of the people, when they start learning Elixir, and I did the same, they usually go and type Elixir learn or something, and one of the first link is the Elixir school. So why Elixir? So as you can see, I'm not going to give you like links. I'm just sharing a couple contents to you, extra content, not only this video, but in this video, we're gonna cover most of the topics right here. And my main goal here is to share with you a faster way to learn. So you're just gonna stay in this video, and then you're gonna feel comfortable to start using Elixir. So first, Elixir is a dynamic and functional programming language designed for scalable and resilient application. So from my experience, I've created applications with Elixir and with over 1 million data under 10 minutes. And this was so powerful. I can share with you a couple examples. But because Elixir as well is a fault tolerant language and low latency, it is fantastic because you can build a faster application, robust ecosystems easily with Elixir. You don't need to learn a lot of techniques such as microservices and stuff like that. A single application like Elixir is so powerful. Also, in this video, I'm not going to cover the Phoenix, but Phoenix provides real-time capabilities. I'm going to share a couple tutorials in the short futures, but in this video, let's focus on learning Elixir. One of the main challenges that I faced in the past was learning Elixir faster, and this video, my main goal is to help you feel comfortable and maybe feel confident to start sharing Elixir in your company and maybe start a small project, even though if you are a beginner, and also if you see a couple of videos using Phoenix, maybe you can start using Phoenix frameworks as well. So let's go ahead. So install Elixir on your local machine. So for example, I'm using Windows, but I'm using as well WSL. So sometimes I can just use like a Linux. They recommend sometimes to use the ASDF, which is pretty straightforward to install. So you just run command and everything's gonna be fine in your local machine. But the most important is that I'm using the VS Code. This is an Elixir application as well with Phoenix. And the main goal here is that let's see couple plugins that I've been using for a long time. So if you have them, you are okay to use Elixir and Phoenix. So Phoenix framework, post CSS support. What else that I want to share with you? So let me check right here. So the most essential plugs are Elixir SLS, Phoenix framework, as I mentioned to you, and Tailwind CS IntelliSense, which is awesome plugins. If you want to use the database, Postgres, but most of my time I use the Beaver. I don't know if I'm gonna share with you but probably you're gonna see in this video a guest with my VS Code set up, and that's it. So to start using the Elixir, let's start talking about the basic of Elixir. So about the basic of Elixir. So Elixir, one of the things that makes me feel excited to start using the language is the IX, which is REPL, which is a readable, printable, valuable, value or language. I don't know exactly, but this made me feel excited because it came from Java, and when I just run like this command right here, IX, so features are not allowed. Okay. So right here we can start using uh, basic functions and even complex functions with Elixir easily. For example, I could get the result faster about a sum, or I have a string like hello world, and then I can just say like a string dot, for example, reverse, and then we get something, and then string dot string uh, reverse, and then we can have like string and then split right here using this one, and then we got a list. This for Elixir, I know that I did not explain that, but as you could see, even when we talk about creating algorithms, it's going to be so straightforward. For example, we could just like a palindrome easily. So for example, I have the word kayak. I'm going to say word kayak, and then I want to check if it's a palindrome. I could say word is equals uh, string dot reverse word. And as you can see, it's true. Only using the IX and basic operator. So you saw that about the IX, which is fantastic. We're going to talk about as well the project setup. We're going to see the mix to create and manage project. We're going to see modules and functions as well. But as you can see, Elixir is so powerful in this way. So now when we talk about the functional programming concepts, one of the things that is powerful related to Elixir is how we can manipulate data structure usually with Elixir. So we can use the pattern matching, which is the core of Elixir, to manipulate them. Also, immutable data ensure predictable and debuggable code, especially when we talk about tests, which means that Elixir is easier testing compared with other languages. As I mentioned to you, we're gonna keep working with the the IX for now, but when we talk about the pattern matching, is a fundamental feature in Elixir, allowing developers to match complex data structure and bind variables to values in a concise and expressive manner. So in this way, we can construct a list, tuples, maps, and other data types, making the code more readable and maintainable. You're gonna see some examples, but let's see a couple of pattern matchings right here. So we saw the palindrome here, and we saw that the reverse word, and then I split. We can think about a map, a list, where let's learn a little bit more about Elixir. So I'm gonna have the word hello world. My name is Gustavo. So right here, if I just say like string dot split, and then say split using uh, like this space. So we got a list right here, and I want to start decouple this list using the pattern matching. So what I can do is like, hey, I want to get the head of a list, and then I'm gonna use the pipe and say the tail. And then when we say our list, so what do we have here? We have our head, and then we got our tail. So as you can see, we can manipulate list easily using Elixir. Another thing that we can use the pattern matching is as well is like when we are working with Elixir, most of the case, even though you are using the Phoenix, you're gonna see the tuples. In the tuples in Elixir, for example, I could have like result, and the result will be like okay, and then success response, maybe finished the request. And then I want to check only the value. So I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to ignore the first value and then get the message. And I'm going to decouple using the getting the result. And then when I get the message, and there you go. So in this example, you saw how it's easily to get variables and values using Elixir. And it's easy to access individual elements with Elixir as well. And when we talk about the immutable data in Elixir, meaning that once a value is assigned to a variable, it can't be changed. Instead of modifying the data in the place, Elixir creates a new data structure. For example, in this case, I want to get the original our list. So for example, you could see that we have our list, and then we get our head and the tail, and the values are different. I could do the same thing, for example, if I get our nil list, and then I'm gonna say, hey, I want to add like 0, and then I'm gonna keep our tail. And this is alright what we had. We have our list, our new list, then we got our tail, and everything works as expected. So in this case, both of them did not change. So which is pretty straightforward, but it seems to be so simple what we did here. But when we talk about complex language, you could see that only using the IX and the main syntax of Elixir, how powerful was that for testing and checking the variables and make something readable faster. So another thing that we need to consider about the Elixir is the data types. So in this case, we're going to check the atoms, the strings. You saw both of them. You saw a bit of numbers. So we compound types as well using the tuple list, and we did not see maps and structs. But right here, atom, you already saw that. So if you come over here and say result, right here, and I want to get the first value, which is the atom, and I'm gonna say message right here. So this is a atom in Elixir. So atom are constants whose value is their own name. They are often used to represent fixed and known values. For example, in this case, we are talking about a status. So this atom could be easily a status about our some request or something that we process using the Elixir. So most of the case, you're gonna see atoms like, for example, not found, okay, error, and stuff like that. You saw a string and then we manipulate a couple of characters. Also, you saw like an integer on our nil list, like this value. And if I want to get only the integer, I could say integer and then tail. And then we got an integer, so you can manipulate them easily. So the same things when we talk about decimal points, so which is pretty straightforward. If I want like this number, we got a float. You saw as well a tuple. And tuple is a way to grouping a fixed number of elements together. But this is the tricky. People usually when start using Elixir, they think, hey, tuple and list are the same. It seems to be the same, but the approaches are different. The tuple is just for like compounding types, and the list is like a dynamic collection. So in this case, we have a collection right here called list, and we're manipulating them. So also, one of the things that I like to work with Elixir are maps. For example, we could create like a person. In the person we have like name. I'm gonna say Gustavo, and then we could say age 31. And as you can see, this person we got the name, and this person we got the age, which is similar with JavaScript and stuff like that. Now, but if you want something like, hey, I want to create a struct or something that I want to define the keys and default values, and also using the complex data structures, we have a struct. For example, in this case, I could say like, hey, I want to add in this map, like person, I want to say last name, and I'm going to say, then I got a map with this result. Remember when we talked about the immutable data? So if I say person, I don't have the last name because I did not update a reference to a memory or something like that. I just test and I execute a function. Everything in Elixir is a function. Let's just talk about the maps, the struct, sorry. And then we're gonna see a little bit more data types, and then we're gonna learn more about uh, some other stuff related to Elixir. So now what we're gonna do is to create a struct, we need to have a module. So in this case, we're gonna say def module. I'm gonna say user. In user, we have a struct, which is gonna be the name, and I'm gonna say nil, and the age is gonna be 0. And then I got this struct, which is a module as well. And then if I say like, hey, I wanna create a user with the name Gus and the age 31, now we got a struct. If I try to create something like last name, as you can see, last name not found on the struct, which is different comparing with a map as well. Another thing that we are going to do, we are going to start just see a little bit more examples. You saw like algorithms, but now I want to share with you a couple enumerables and comprehensions, data types, error handling, stuff like that. And then we're going to start creating a project with Elixir. So our first step, what we're going to do is like checking the data types, which is in Elixir by default, we already have it, and which means that it's so powerful as well. So you could use dates like UTC today usually, like time as well. So I just have an IX, and I could say like UTC. Now I'm just using the tab to get this kind of values. If I say date time dot UTC now, I got both with Elixir, which is pretty fantastic. And now when we talk about Elixir, one of the fantastic things are enums. So in enums, you can handle with algorithms easily. So in this case, so let's just practice a little bit about enums. In this case, just a few examples. Let's say that I have a list, and in this list, I'm gonna have like 4. I'm going to say number. I'm gonna learn more about the 4, but until 4, and then say and. So now I got on my list, and then I'm gonna say enum dot map, and then I'm gonna say list. I'm gonna get the function number, then n plus n, and so as you can see, we got a function to square the numbers. Things that we can explore here. So we have this function. I could say like squared, and then I'm gonna say function. I'm gonna receive a number, and this number is gonna be like n plus n, and now same map over here. List. I'm going to say using the syntax, which is a way to call a function, squared 1. Okay, so in this case, it's gonna be like int1. So it seems to be weird, but we got the same result because this function, I created this function, and then I can access that easily because we have this and, which means that the function, and int1 means this value here, and then I'm just executing this function, passing this value. I could get the same result if I say last, and then int1 plus int1, because I just have one value, so it's the same. But it's important to understand that. Another useful function that we have is the filter. For example, I have a list, and this function I want to have like in this list, I want to have only the ring or mod for a function. So in this case, let's just use the new syntax that we have learned. So I'm gonna say ring and 1, 2. I don't know if that's gonna work. This one's gonna work too, because I'm gonna add here parentheses, and then I'm gonna say equals 0, and there you go. This function means the same as a list. Function x ring x 2 equals 0. That's the same, exactly. Fantastic. Using Elixir, let's start exploring just one algorithm here. I'm gonna, that was not an idea through the video, but let's just see how powerful. We did not start an Elixir project using the mix, and then you saw how powerful it was to use Elixir easily. So in this case, so let's just check. Let me just think about a simple algorithm that we can practice together right now. Let me see if this one works. So let me just check my result here. If that's not gonna work, I'm fine with that. That was just an idea through the video that I have right now. Okay. There you go. Let me see this one. If I have the solution in Elixir, I'm gonna share with you. Elixir, there you go. Where's my solution here? Let me check my submissions. Acceptable. Oh, I used the JavaScript, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm not gonna do that right now. Let's just jump to comprehensions. This is just a way to transform lists. You already saw that when we just run like this command here, like x 1 to 4 do x. You already saw that. Oh, let me just, it's gonna be a 4 instead of a function. And there you go, you already saw that. and things that's going to be useful when we talk about the Elixir. So as you can see, if I say just ls, I can check all the files that I have here. So if I try to read a file, for example, like read, and then I'm going to say readme.md, md. As you can see, I could read the file easily, but also I could use like a case statement. For example, in this case, I'm going to say that if this case is, as you could see, okay, and content, I can just say content, and if is error, and then reason, I'm gonna say error to read the file, and then I'm gonna say that the reason through our string, and then okay. But also let's do something interesting here. So I'm going to have a function that I'm going to receive the path, and the path, I'm going to give this function read file. This is going to be the name. Then I'm going to say path right here. Then the next line will be the content. The next one is going to be the reason, and then I'm going to say and then finish the function. Now we have the function, and when I say read file dot, and then let's do something like this, now we got the error. If I say something that is valuable, for example, read me.mg, and there you go, we got the content. So in this case, what we did, in this example, we use the case statement to match the result using the file, and then handling with both success and error cases. And you saw that we are using the okay and error. Fantastic example. And now we are going to start working with Elixir, but creating a project. So we're going to create our first project using Elixir, since that we learned basic concepts about the Elixir, and also we are going to use the TDD. So in this case, I'm going to move one folder before, and then I'm going to say mix new. As I mentioned, so if you say just type mix, you're going to see that the mix we use for run tasks, create Elixir projects. We can list all available tasks. We can print the documentation, and we can manage the dependency. Mix is fantastic for Elixir. So we're gonna say to do list mix new to-do list. This is going to be our project. Now we can just open the to-do list app right here. I'm going to install and teach you how to use Elixir, but to create TDD application. So right here, so our latest step is to start using application, because Elixir helps us to handling with Elixir projects and creating TDD application easily. So in this case, I always start a couple dependencies in our application, in my Elixir applications, and some of them are you can just say mix test watch Elixir. So you're gonna see this documentation. You can just copy this line over here, then go to the mix.exs. In this case, let's just go ahead quickly and fast to learn more about the Elixir. So in this case, when you start talking about Elixir application, you can see that we have our build. Then you can see that we have our compile and we don't have our project. Now, you're gonna see that we just have this folder here, and we do not have a folder called deps. When you run the command mix deps dot get again, as you can see, now we have this folder, and then we have our lib. Our lib, as you can see, it's an Elixir project as well. Then it has their own dependencies, and one of them are the file systems, which is great, X documentations, and which is fantastic. But how about our code? And Elixir, by default, it works as Elixir for itself. It creates convert the Elixir applications, Elixir code to Erlang code. So now, if you just run the command ix-s, which means that run a terminal in this project, mix, as you can see, it starts working, and we got our lib folder to-do list. If you call to-do list hello, we got the world. But the most important thing, we are using the Elixir, but if you check the build, now we have the to-do list application, then we have the mix over here. And as you can see, it's called to-do list. And if you check here, we have our to-do list app, which means that our config, our optional applications, so the default applications that we are going to run, for example, as well. And also we have our module elixir.to-do list, which means that it is this file. Let's just open this file as a text editor. As you can see, it's weird to understand, but this is a Bing code. Let's just walk through this code here using Elixir. So if we run the same command before we start using our application, if we run the command observer.start, oh, it's not available, unfortunately. I'll look. I think it's observer.start. I don't know what's happened because I changed the version actually, but unfortunately I can share with you. But basically, you're gonna see that both all those files are running together. But I think this is overall is good enough to start understanding. In this video, I'm not going to share with you things related to the Elixir Bean. Probably I'm gonna prepare Elixir Bean and actors module in Elixir video. But right here, the most important thing is that let's start creating our application, and we are going to use TDD. The fantastic thing about Elixir and the beauty of Elixir is that we have our mix.exs, which is a default application running. And right here we have the test. We've got our test helper. In this video, I'm not going to focus on that, but we got this file here. If you want to run the test in Elixir, you can just run this command. And there you go, we got our test. Now, if I just come over here and then delete all these things, and then run mix test, as you can see, the function is undefined or private. The framework that we installed, you can just run the command mixtest.watch. Now, everything that we're going to do, it's going to reflect in some updates. So, for example, we only need this guy here. And when we run, we do not have chest. Now, we're going to say describe, then we're going to say add, only add with two params, two arrays. And now, in this file, I'm going to say test add a to-do list. Oh, the Copilot helped me a lot, but in this case, just to-do list. And then we're going to say to-do list. I'm going to use one more thing, import to-do list. And then we're going to say nil. Let's see the result right now. So it is complaining because the function is undefined. And right here, we are going to start creating this function. And in this function, nil, we are going to create a struct. In this case, gonna say that structs, tasks as an empty map. And then right here, we could say to-do list. There you go, it is working. But another syntax that I want to share with you, sometimes we have more modules, and this is pretty useful to learn. So now both are working, and what we're going to do, so we created our to-do list. Also, what we are going to do is that we want to add a task. So in this case, I'm going to have new to-do list. And then what we're going to do is that we want to add a task. So in this case, I want to say that we are going to have our first task. So we're going to say to-do list buy a milk. And then our to-do list, we're going to have something like to fail. As you can see, we don't have the function, so it's complaining because we don't have the function. But here, gonna say the add will be to-do list, and then the task that we are going to add. And then what we're gonna do is that, hey, we got our to-do list. We have many ways to do that. Map.put, and then we're gonna say tasks. And then I'm gonna make something more complicated, because what we're gonna say is that let's just focus on an empty list right here. And then what we can do is like to do a list. And I'm going to say that our to-do list, our tasks, will be a task and to-do list tasks. As you can see, it's working, but unfortunately, I did not use the assert to ensure that it's working. And as you can see, it returns for us our list, our to-do list. So we could say like, hey, I want to compare, just in this case, this guy here. There you go. And also we could assert that our to-do list.tasks is going to be equals by a milk. So there you go. Another thing that we can do is given a to-do list with a task, when add a new task, then update the list. So right now, what we're gonna do? So we wanna add a little bit more tasks. So in this example, I can just copy this guy over here. This one. And then I'm gonna add one more task. In this case, what is the beauty of Elixir is to use the pipe operator. So you've learned the syntax now. And what I wanna do is that, hey, I wanna assert that it's gonna be empty, just for a test, that I'm going to start a new to-do list. New to-do list, adding this, you know that this will return a to-do list. I'm gonna add this task, and then I'm going to add another task that we are going to call drink water. And then this is going to be our test. So as you can see, we got comparable list. And then as you can see, we have the drink of water and by a milk as a list. So this is the result, adding more tasks. So fantastic, it is working. Now we want to visualize our tasks as well. And also we want to complete the task. And when we complete the task, we want to say that we are going to only remove the task. So in this case, we could say complete task. And in this case, gonna be two params as well. We can just say complete. As you can see, the Copilot helped me, but basically I want to say that I want to complete not drink water because it's the first one, but buy a milk. So I'm gonna say that buy a milk. And this should return only the drink water. So it is complaining because we do not have this function here. And then we have our to-do list. And then we have the task as well. And then the Copilot suggested something to me, but what we're gonna do is just like, hey, we wanna delete a task. So in this case, I'm going to use the to-do list. And then I'm gonna say that with our tasks, it's gonna be list.delete and delete the task. And there you go. We are creating a fantastic application only to using Elixir and TDD. Just one more thing about this task. We're gonna say that view. Then I'm gonna say just one. Then it's just sharing with us an idea. I'm going just to say like, okay, fine. But what we're gonna do is just like returning as an empty list and then just get the result to compare. It's complaining that the function does not exist. So what we're gonna do is just view is gonna receive a to-do list and then just return this way. Let's just simplify it so we already know that it's working. But what about if we just make it simpler using this kind of function? And also let's use a little bit about pattern matching. We are using the pattern matching here, but what about we only care about, we must receive a module. It's gonna be this one. Or never mind, just say tasks, and then we decouple our map and our struct, and we got the same result. Then we can just copy and paste that. And there you go. So now we have created our first Elixir application using TDD. We've learned about the module and stuff like that using Elixir. Fantastic. Now, the latest things that, as I mentioned, keep that in mind if you are here in this video now. Elixir is powerful where you can build a Phoenix application, live view application without testing as a user, only using TDD, and that will work. This is so powerful from Elixir. Now, if you run like a to-do list, let's just import the to-do list. Or maybe it's just because we need to type more things like this. We can just say to-do list now, and when we say nil, and then using the pipe operator such as add by milk, and then add one more, make a coffee, and there you go, we got our list. Then we can say only like view, and this is what we have. So powerful and so simple to use Elixir to build application. You could see that easily how powerful is Elixir and simple comparing with other languages. That makes me feel so excited about the Elixir. So as a conclusion, we could see how simple was only using command lines and creating a to-do list application in Elixir, and also ensure the application logics works correctly using tests, and not only using tests but using TDD. Your next steps, you're gonna see that in this channel we have Phoenix for scalable web application. I encourage you also to subscribe on this channel to learn more. And we got a surprise now to work with Elixir. In this case, we did not talk about the beam, and this is gonna be a surprise for you. The beam is the Erlang VM that runs Elixir code, supporting concurrency and fault tolerance. And also, when we talk about the concurrency, this is a lightweight process managed by the beam for handling multiple tasks simultaneously. And when we talk about Elixir compared with other language, we have concurrency and parallelism in an efficient mode. And in this case, parallelism in Elixir is efficient execution of multiple processes on a multi-core system, enhancing performances. Also, I have a practical example here that we can just using the same way to create our to-do list. In this case, a challenge for you is to create the test, but how about using one of the most famous things, which is the GenServer? In this case, what are we going to do? We can just using the same module that we have here, but we are going to create a server.ex, and we're going to create another module called server do right here. And we're going to use the GenServer. So we're going to say GenServer. And then what we're going to have is like a start link. As I mentioned to you, it was a surprise. So, but you can dive into more details how it works. And then what we're going to have is the GenServer start link module, and the name is going to be to-do list. It's going to be fast, I swear, but if we need to have the init function, and then we're just going to say like okay and a empty map. And then what we're going to have is just like, let's just create our GenServer using Elixir. So in this case, we're gonna just using like the handle cast, where the handle cast is a default function from the GenServer. And then we're gonna say no reply, and then we're gonna say the state right here. So also we have two functions. We have the GenServer handle cast, handle info, which is the most famous, and we have the handle call. What is the difference between them? The handle cast is asynchronous, the handle call is synchronous, and the handle info is a little bit different. I use more on the live view, is when we wanna listen events or something like that. But what we're gonna do is that we want to create a handle cast where we're going to update the state and also add a task using the module that we have created. So right here, what we're gonna do is like, you're just going to have the handle cast receiving like the same names like add and task. In this case, we're gonna have the state, where the state is our to-do list, alias for to-do list. And then when we start the default will be like this guy here. It's gonna be to-do list.new. And then our state will be this guy here. So what we can start doing for testing is like, let's just recompile. So as you can see now, nothing is used, but we can say like the state, which is the most important for us. And now let's just say like server dot start. Okay, so let's just, I have this command here, -s mix server dot start link, and say nothing. Let's say nothing, just like, okay. There we go, we got our repeat. I'm going to say that in this case, I'm going to get the okay and peed. Okay, it's already started. Let's just get this as a peed. Okay, that doesn't work, really? Okay, let's just use one a little bit more. Where is to-do list? So now we can get our feed. And now when we say sys.getState, as you can see now, we got our to-do list. Now, if we want to call like on a process, we could say GenServer dot we have our handle cast. We could say cast. In this case, we're gonna say that it's gonna be add pumpkin, or maybe buy coffee. And then we can say our feed. As you can see, we have our problem. Okay, so my apologies for you. It's gonna be feed and the request. And there you go. As you can see, we got our state. And what we're gonna do is just like, hey, our state will be add, which is this function that we have here. So we're gonna say our state, and then we're gonna say task. So this is going to be our update. It's complaining because to-do.add. There you go. Now, when I just try to run this command, now try to get our repeat, we got our task. If I say one more thing and then get the state, this is what we have. Now we could say like handle info, and the handle info, we have a way to get this information. So we are creating task asynchronously. So what we're gonna do now, I'm sorry, not gonna use the handle info, but we're gonna use the handle call. We're gonna use the handle call, which means that, hey, in our handle call, we are going to have like a view, and the view we have from, and we have our state. And basically, what we're gonna do, it's simply to say like the reply. We can also update the state, but in this case, let's just return the state right here. Then when we recompile, and then when we say GenServer server, and then we want to get the state, we could say call, and the call will be our repeat, and then we're gonna say view. And this is what we have. We have a blank. It's because it's terminated. Let me just restart the application. and then server dot start link. Okay. And then, oh, I always forget about that. So process, I'm gonna say pid process where is to list. Now we can say GenServer dot call. We could create like an API for it, and let's just see how it works. So basically, what are we gonna do? We need to send the this case. It's gonna be GenServer dot call pid, and the request is gonna be view, and then why the handle call handle call. Sorry about that, guys. Let's just recompile, create the pid, and then GenServer dot call pid view, and there you go. So this is what we have now. Oh, let's just return the state here. Not only okay, because this is what we're going to return, and this is going to be the updating state. Right here, it's not updating. I don't know what's going on with my local machine. It's not updating that. So again, okay, repeat, and then we're gonna say server dot start. Okay, we could say like anything that you want. Then server dot call, and then we can say pid, and then view, and there you go. Now, if you say GenServer dot cast pid, and then the pattern matching, like add pumpkin, something like that, and then call view, that works. If you want, you can create like an API for this guy. For example, we could say like in to-do.ex, for example, then that module where we could say start, and the start will be the same thing that we have here. So we could say like start server.start link, like okay, for example, add task, and then GenServer cast to-do list, can be the file, the app name as well, then the full view, and then GenServer dot call to-do list, which is going to be the same app we have here. There you go. And then we can just have like a way to manage our GenServer. So now I'm not testing it, but actually if you say to-do.start, now to-do.add pumpkin, another one like this one, then to-do.view, and there you go. So I hope you enjoy. This was my surprise for you. I'm not dig into more details, but you can test this as well and make something fantastic. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you start feeling comfortable to use Elixir now. See you in the next video, and bye-bye.